What's up, Facebook? How you guys doing? Hey, look, as you guys are tuning in, let me know where you're watching from. Tonight, we're going to talk about the thing that you didn't know about that doubled the cost of your ticket. Okay. We're going to talk about some not so well-known secrets. I'm also going to kind of quickly outline for you all the various peak seasons for different regions of the world. We're not going to go super in depth on that. Let me fix my camera. It's acting kind of crazy. While you guys are tuning in, I'm gonna work on my camera here for just 1 second. There we go. I don't know why it did that. That was kind of weird. So let's just start with this. I'm just going to kind of talk about the peak seasons. Obviously, you already know when we're talking about Europe, peak season is summer, usually June through August, then, of course, Christmas and New Year's. When we talk about Asia, the peak season actually changes from area to area. So, for example, what's up, buddy? How are you? You've been killing it. Peak season in Central Asia is typically April through June and September through October. Then in East Asia, it's typically festival-based. So you need to be very aware of this when you're going to Asia. There's Golden Weeks in China around May Day. Then there's their National Day, their spring festivals, their cherry blossom season, which is in March or April in Japan. So it's very important that when you're talking about the east portion of Asia that you pay attention to that. South Asia is November through March. Southeast Asia is usually June through August, and then December through February. And then peak season in West Asia and the Middle East is typically December through February. When we talk about Africa, again, Africa is a little bit different in that it's not quite as, yeah, I did see that. Isn't that crazy? The dust storm in Puerto Rico, if you guys missed it. And that should be hitting the U.S., I think, tomorrow or the day after. So when we talk about East Africa, it's usually July through November, which is dry season. And then in North Africa, it's June through September, which is dry season. And listen, I don't expect you guys to remember this. I just had a couple of people message me about when was peak season. You guys can come back to this video and what was that? That was just my power bank. So I had a couple of people asking about that. Ignore the kids. They decided it as soon as I go live to start throwing stuff. Southern Africa is April through October. Again, all of these are based on the dry season for Africa. And then in West Africa, it's November through April. South America, oh, really? He lives in Puerto Rico and did a live? That would have been interesting. South America is usually summer and December through February. There's some exceptions. For example, if you're going to go do Machu Picchu, the high season for Machu Picchu is July through August, and then Galapagos is July through November. It's important if you guys are doing a specific event or tourist location or something like Machu Picchu that you understand when it's really expensive, because it can cost you double. Obviously, in North America, we're talking about June through August, Christmas, New Year's, anything that's a long holiday, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving. Hey, Samuel, I'm on a live. And then if you're looking at like skiing and things like that, we're looking at winter is our peak season. Hawaii, there's a couple of shoulders in there where you guys can get cheap airfare, but by and large, Hawaii is expensive all year round. Let's see here. The Caribbean's December through April. Not so much the summer for some reason. And then Australia and New Zealand is December through February. Okay. So now here's one of the things that I really wanted to focus on tonight because it makes a huge difference in your time. It makes a huge difference in a waste of time. And it's something that not very many people know. And here's what it is. Nearly every single online booking engine is owned by one of two companies, Priceline or Expedia Group. Okay. And what that means for you is if you're the type of person that spends hours and hours and hours of looking for the best deal, you've just wasted hours and hours and hours of time. Now, on occasion, Priceline or Expedia or any of their subsidiaries, which I'm going to read off in a second, will throw out an outlier. They'll drastically reduce the cost on a flight, and they do that so that you will come back to that site all the time because you saw how radical of a difference it was than every other site, right? And when you're an $88 billion company, you can take a hit, all right? You can do that on occasion. So I have an arrangement where I get really great rates on both flights and hotels. And it always amazes me how somebody will do one search and they'll come back to me and they're like, I found it for $5 less on Expedia. I'm like, I'm sure you did. On occasion, that happens. They're an $88 billion company. I can't beat them every time. But by and large, I beat them like 90% of the time. And there's always that one time that somebody's like, I found it for, $5 less. And I'm like, oh my God. All right. So anyway, here's what you need to know. So let me pull this up real quick because I can't remember them all. And I'm not gonna give you every single one. I'm just gonna give you some of the ones owned by the two bigger company. So Expedia owns Expedia, Orbitz, Trivago, TripAdvisor, Hotels.com, Hotwire, HomeAway. They own, what is that one? They own one other big one, but it's not on this list that I have here. Priceline owns Booking.com, Priceline, Kayak, Momondo, OpenTable, Agoga, right? So whenever you hear people talking about this idea that go to Agoga because they got better prices than Priceline, right? Priceline owns Agoga. And all they're doing is playing the game. And I'll talk about this a little bit more in a second, but they're playing the game where they don't care if you go to Agoga or if you go to Kayak or you go to Momondo or you go to, whatever, straight to Priceline. Okay. And they'll stagger their prices. But anybody who's done any amount of airfare searches will tell you that the average difference after all that time of searching is 10, 15, 20 bucks, 30 bucks. There's a better way. There is a better way. I promise you. Okay. So that's all the difference of them. Now, something you need to be aware of that is, Samuel, take it down a level. So here's the big thing that you need to be cautious of when we're talking about Priceline or Expedia. They will not show you the taxes and fees and even resort fees until you've actually gotten to the last step of, man, just tonight is one thing after another. They're not going to show you, Zoe. They're not going to show you the final price until you're all the way at the end, and then they're going to sock you with all the taxes and fees. I don't know if it's been cleared yet, but Expedia was actually being sued for this practice because what it shows you on the website is Las Vegas for $200. And then you check out and it comes out to like $600. And that's because Las Vegas has these mandatory fees. They have, all the different things that go into that. And then the taxing on the taxes and fees. And so it's just when you get done with it, you're talking about a ton of money that was not a part of the clickbait to get you to log in, right? So when you talk about hotels, you got to be a little bit careful. You don't have to worry about it as much with airfare, but definitely when you're looking at those two major competitors, you do with hotels, okay? And that's a huge consideration. So anyway, those two, the peak season, and then not understanding that Priceline and Expedia own 95% of all online booking engines. And when I say all, I mean all. 95%. There's only 5% of the little guys out there left that those two don't own. So if you play that game, you're going to waste a bunch of time and you're not going to get the best rate. And as we all found out in Corona, anything booked from a third-party booking engine becomes next to impossible to get a refund on, to the point to where the Department of Transportation has come in and started levying legal action against these companies because they were not refunding money. Okay. So let me see here. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to just kind of finish this out because all of a sudden my kids are going crazy. If you would like to know about the better way to travel, the way that's going to save you the most amount of money, I just want you to drop a travel emoji of some sort. I'll connect you with the information. I go live like this to help you guys travel the world because in a context of a big family, a vacation is $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. And you could really do that for a lot less with just a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of help planning. And tomorrow night will be the last part of the airfare and stuff like that. And I'm going to talk about how to properly plan for airfare expenses. All right. So again, if you're interested in learning a better way to travel, I just want you to drop a travel emoji and I will talk to you tomorrow night.